Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me at benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcast because People of Distinction is a nationally and internationally syndicated show because of listeners like you. Our shows are available across all major podcast distributors as well as YouTube. And if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. We appreciate the support. Continue to like and follow and sit back and strap in because on the line with us today, we have Dick Gephardt. We're going to be discussing his amazing book, 535, Not One. That's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. All the regular online book resellers, head on over there today, pick up your copies, and I'm going to tell you why you need to do that in just a moment. Before we go any further, though, I want to take this opportunity and quickly point out that Dick was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by one of the best advertising firms in the business and people you already know. I'm talking about Author Reputation Press. So for my writers out there listening in, if you need help moving the book you just developed, look no further than ARP. Head on over to authorreputationpress.com today and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help move your creative endeavors. And people, as I mentioned to you a moment ago, Dick Gephardt is a name that you already may be familiar with. If you're not, it's a name you want to be familiar with. Okay, his book, 535 Not One, is all about his 28 years as a House of Representative member in Congress. You are going to get insights on his personal experiences there, as well as receive a fantastic education of the inner workings of our government. I'm telling you, this is such a timely book, not only because right now in the political sphere that we're in, of course we have the presidential elections upcoming, but it's really a book that you want to add to your shelf at any time in any day, because you want to be educated about how our government works and how this democracy works. This is a book that's a precipice of so much. And at the end of the day, Dick is the expert. It's his book, he's written it, it's his life, he's lived it. He's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. Sit back, strap in, and have your notebooks ready. Dick, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Dick, let's jump right in, man. We're looking forward to this. First and foremost, I'm curious, what motivated you to write a memoir about your time as a congressman representing Missouri for nearly 30 years?
Well, after having served 28 years in the House, half of that time as either majority leader or minority leader of the Democratic group in Congress, I thought, wow, this was such an honor of my life to represent 600,000 people out in Missouri, that I wanted other citizens to know how democracy actually works. Because you hear all the negatives, but you rarely hear the positives.
Yeah.
And I start the book by saying in 1789, our founders had a radical idea. That idea was the first time in human history that anyone thought that the people could govern themselves. They didn't need to have a king or an emperor or a potentate. Mm-hmm. The people could do it themselves. And so the book title is 535. That's the number of people in Congress between the House and the Senate. Not one. So the 535 people represent all the people in the United States, 340 million people, and have the charge or the job of making difficult decisions on controversial issues, because the public is never in agreement. They always have many different views, and it's Congress that has to bring all those views together to get a compromise to move the country forward.
Yeah. Dick, thank you very much for that. And listen, there's a lot of avenues that we can go down. I love the title of your book. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But you started off by talking about you wanted to focus on the positives, right? Because I agree. There are a lot of negatives that are currently circling around our atmosphere here. But let's focus on those positives. Can you share a memorable experience or achievement from your own political career that you believe had a significant impact on the people of Missouri?
Yeah, I'll give you a story that had positive impact on all the people of the United States. One of the things we were able to do, and nobody remembers this today, was balance the federal budget, which we talk about constantly but rarely do. And it was done because people of good faith in both parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, came together and did the hard work of cutting programs and raising some revenues, taxes, so that we could balance the budget, which inured to the benefit economically of every American.
Yeah.
We started it with George H.W. Bush back in 1990, and we finally finished the job under Bill Clinton, a Democrat, in like 1997. So it took 7 long years to finally get the budget balanced. So I know plenty about how hard this is, how many times you fail, because again, you're dealing with a committee. Just imagine being on a committee of 535 people who all disagree with each other on everything, and trying to find a compromise, an agreement of a majority of that group to get something important and necessary done. That's what we did. There are other instances I can give you where we did that, but that's what we need to do going forward to keep our magic of self-governance.
Great segue, Dick, that you've established, because you're talking about that division in certain instances. Well, how have you seen the relationship between federal and state governments shift over the years? And what implications do you believe this has for effective governance?
Well, let me first say that Tip O'Neill, when I came to Congress, was the Speaker of the House, and he was a great human being. And in our first meeting, he said, you all have to always remember that all of politics is local. So you need to go home and you need to work with your local government, your city government or county government. You need to work with your state government. And then you got to do some really important things at the federal level. So part of the magic of the majesty of our democracy is that we have 3 levels of government. We don't have one level that's calling the tune for everybody else.
Yeah.
And a lot of problems have to be solved at the local level or the state level. It's not appropriate to take those issues up at the federal level. This is a huge country. Let me just say this. In any other country, the 50 states would be separate countries.
Right.
Just imagine the size and scale of this country and 340 million people. And so to make it work for everybody, you've got to have 3 levels of government. You got to have 3 sections of the federal government, the judiciary, the Congress, and the presidency. And you have to work really hard to make it all succeed.
I'm right there with you. People, again, the book is called 535, Not One. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Head on over there. It's written by Dick Gephardt. This is a book you want to add to your shelf. Whether you are someone that considers yourself to be political or not, you need to educate yourself. It starts with this book. I'm telling you, it's the precipice of so much. Dick, considering the current challenges facing our nation, what advice or insights would you offer to current lawmakers based on your experience in office?
Well, first, I'd give some advice to the public, to individual citizens. And this advice is simple. when you're going to vote for who you want to be your state representative, U.S. representative, mayor, whatever, president, whatever, the question you should be asking yourself in evaluating the candidate is, which candidate will more likely put country over party and country over self? Those are the two most important questions that citizens can ask themselves as they prepare to go vote for candidates for whatever level of government. What I'd say to members of Congress is two things. One, nobody knows all the answers.
Yeah.
Nobody knows everything. We should all be humble. We all know what we know. I don't know what you know. I don't know what the lady in the corner knows. I don't know what anybody else knows. I haven't lived in their shoes. So we need to talk to one another, and most importantly, listen to one another. Stop talking so much and listen, and you will learn from other people. When I was leader, I put 60 people in the Democratic Party in the leadership. We traditionally had 4. I upped it to 60, and I put them in a room every night at 5 o'clock for 2 hours to listen to one another on what we thought our policies should be, our policy ideas should be on immigration or the budget or whatever. We had some bad meetings. People said, you're all crazy. I don't want to listen to you anymore. They'd leave the room. They always came back. It always worked because people were willing to listen to each other. The second thing I would say is you have to respect everybody. You have to respect people you disagree with on everything. You cannot hate people. You have to respect people. Mm-hmm. And if you do that day in and day out and do the hard work of democracy, which is listening to one another, you have a chance to solve the problems with peace and equity.
You know, Dick, I love what you're saying, man, and I can get behind all of it. I do think that this next question is something that I feel I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I love the title of your book, and I think it's so poignant as to where we currently are as a country. 535, not one. And really, that not one is so powerful right now. I'd love to get your opinion on this next one. Dick, recently, the Supreme Court just passed a law that grants a U.S. president full immunity of any criminal charges. Now, there's a lot of ways that can be perceived. I know the fear for a lot of people is in the sense that, again, this upcoming presidential election, if Trump were to be elected as president, and God forbid, if he were to do something of some type of criminal activity, he would be found, he'd be given immunity. Well, I think that kind of, and it can be insinuated that now we're actually shifting it. Now it's going to be opposite of your title, right? Now it's looking at as one, not 535. I'd love to get your opinion on that latest law that was passed, giving a U.S. president full immunity from any criminal charges. How do you feel that shifts the perception and really the power balance to a U.S. president?
It's a very dangerous and worrisome opinion. I'm really alarmed at what they decided. Mm-hmm. And I understand that there can be a question of whether a president does something in an official capacity or unofficial capacity. But the opinion didn't tell us how to figure that out. They didn't tell lower courts, here's a definition of what should be official, and here's the definition of what should be unofficial. So they just left it up in the air. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if we decide that everything is official when a president is in office, and he's immune from anything he does in that official capacity, as someone said in the dissenting opinion, that means he can order the military to go kill his political enemies, kill anybody. I mean, this is like Germany in 1933. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
We can't go back to one person running the show. Now, let me step back from that statement and tell you this. The default position of human governance through human history is the authoritarian model. It is to have a dictator. Before America, 1789, every country was a dictatorship. In United Kingdom, they had kings. In France, they had kings. In other countries, they had emperors or pharaohs or whatever. So this was a radical departure. Having said that, you've got to understand that democracy is always fragile. It is always on the state of collapse. And why do I say that? I say that because the process, we're asking people to govern themselves. And it is a really complicated, difficult process. And if it can't produce solutions and programs that help people, that people can accept, then it will fail. And we'll go back to the default position, is letting one person run the whole show. You won't like it. Nobody will like it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Nobody will like it. And let me say one last thing. I saw a lot of big controversial issues get decided when I was in Congress. Really tough issues. Immigration, gun control, lots of, I could go down the list, abortion, whatever. And after the issue was finally decided with a majority voting for something in both houses and then the president signing it, which is the process, I saw the losers on that issue, the people that were still really angry about how it was decided, being willing to grudgingly accept the result. That's the majesty of democracy. Mm-hmm. If one person is making all those controversial decisions, people are not going to grudgingly accept them. We're going to be in a constant state of revolution.
Yeah.
People are saying, oh, that guy decided this? That woman decided this? I can't live with that. I didn't have a say. I didn't have a vote. I wasn't included. I'm not going to live with this. I'm going to pick up a rifle or leave the country. I don't want to live under a dictator. And so, to me, that's really the message I was trying to get across in the book. We are so lucky. This is such a great country. And part of the reason that we're so economically successful is that we have freedom and democracy and rule of law. China will never be successful like we are. Russia will never be successful like we are. This is a magical country, and we should all be thankful and have gratitude that we are Americans.
People, I'm sold. I know you all are as well. As we close out here, man, last question, and I know you've already covered this, but let's just go back, let's reinstate it and double down on it. What are you hoping to see your readers take from your book, Dick?
I just hope they come with a little bit better understanding of how self-government actually works, how complicated it is, how much it can fail, how long it takes, how inefficient it can often be, but also come away with a understanding of the majesty, the success, the great benefit we all receive from living in a democracy with freedom and rule of law, which allows capitalism to work. And both capitalism and democracy is based on a simple one-word thing: trust. People have to trust our electoral process. They have to trust our democratic decision-making process. They have to trust our judiciary process. And if they do and do their part and vote and being participating citizens, this country will be handed down even better to our children and grandchildren.
People, listen, I know a lot of you at home are just like me, right? You have another 15 questions you would love to ask Dick. I'm right there with you, man. I have a whole list of questions, and I would love to sit here and continue to talk to him for hours and pick his brain. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. You know what you got to do. It starts with this book, 535 Not One. It's available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble by Dick Gephardt. Head on over there today. Pick up your copies. And the biggest thing, not only utilizing this book as insightful, not only utilizing this book as an educational resource, get involved. Get involved in your local government as well as the national government stages. People, there is so much on the line, not only with this upcoming election, but with future elections as well. It only works if we stay involved and we stay educated. The precipice is this book, 535 Not One. Head on over there today, pick up copies, get lost in it. Dick, again, this has been an absolute pleasure, so insightful. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Let me just say something to you. I've been interviewed a couple of million times in my life. You are as good as it gets. You are as good as it gets. You did a fabulous job. Thank you, thank you, thank you.